In my case, I didn't make the transition. Somebody else made the transition for me. I was at that time, actually, I had retired from diplomacy. Prime Minister told me that he was keen that I join the government. To me personally, it was a surprise. I had not even thought about it. In my case, I didn't make the transition. Somebody else made the transition for me. About 5 years ago, I was at that time, actually, I had, retired from diplomacy, and I was a well-paid corporate executive. The Prime Minister told me that he was keen that I join the government. So it, frankly, and to me, it was, to me personally, it was a surprise. I had not even thought about it. But one of the reasons I had not thought about it was nobody in my family, then or even now, has even remotely thought about politics. In fact, rest of my family is still wondering what am I doing in politics. So it's not something I was prepared for at all, So then you ask me how, so did diplomacy teach you? It did, because, when you are thrown, in a completely new environment, what do you do? I did as a minister what I had done earlier as a diplomat or ambassador. First, I watched everybody around me. What do they do? How do they behave? What is the, what is the kind of, you can say like the code between them? How, you learn by in a way looking at others, picking up points, but you should have that willingness to pick that up. It took, to be honest, it took a little effort, because even if you are even if you are an ambassador, it's very different, from say being with all of you, and then going out in India, dealing with with, I would say, the public, often sometimes in very demanding circumstances, people of different backgrounds, different numbers, different situations. So, and I must say, as someone who's still new in that line of work, what it actually opened up my eyes about what politicians do, and what politics is about, what public service is about. It's a very, very demanding, very taxing thing. But there is also the satisfaction of a very different level, that you may have made decisions or may have contributed somewhere, which has actually changed, something very big for a large, as I say, I look back at some of the big challenges of the last 5 years, you say, okay, I also had my little bit to add to it. It's also something you will remember all your life. So, one part of me, after almost 5 years now, has internalized it. One part of me is still sort of reflecting on it. But the last question, because it flows from this, this idea that does politics hurt development? It depends what kind of politics, because that same political motivation, exhortation, it can also be in a way, a force of change. That if you ask, there is, I give you an example. You remember, I think this about, it would have been 7-8 years ago, 1 August 15th, I think it was 2015 if my memory is right. Prime Minister Modi from Red Fort on August 15th asked people who could afford to pay for the gas cylinder to give up the subsidized gas cylinder. Okay. Remember, you are actually telling people to make, in a way, some kind of economic sacrifice. The sacrifice may not be big, but now it's actually, you could say, they did it because there is a kind of respect for a political level call. And as a result, actually, literally millions of people gave up their gas cylinders and gave it up to people who were deserving. Now, again, because often we maybe partly because of previous experience, we tend to think of politics as though it's a kind of a burden or a negative force, or it takes your time, it wastes your energy. That's a kind of feeling which I think, in a way, you didn't say it, but I could sense it. Okay, I would say, and maybe 5 years ago I would have been like you know. But today I feel, look, I've seen the positive side of it.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.